Hi, this is Jeannie with my Perpetual Project. Today I'm going to show you how to make a face mask out of a Crown Royal bag. Now, if you're not a Crown Royal drinker, you might have a friend who is. I have a friend who gave me several of these bags, and so I thought it'd be fun to do some face masks. I have done other face masks out of regular material, and the way I've sewn those is with the pleats that you see in the ones that they use at the hospital, those blue paper ones. And I've sewn the ends of the elastic in the ends of each end. But this time I thought I would make them a little different and actually utilize the grommets that come with the bag and use that for the earpieces. I made this one for hubby, and he's worn it a couple times. He says it's warmer than the other one that I made for him, and he likes it. So if you want something fun and different, just grab yourself some Crown Royal bags. There are two different sizes, as you can see. So this one probably be good for women, people with smaller faces, and for the guys, I made hubbies out of this size. So I'm going to show you how to cut those, sew it together, and have a little something fun while we're in this masking up period that we've been in since March. So the first step is to cut the bottom off of the Crown Royal bag. You're going to want to leave as much space as you can below the words so that you can see those on the front of the face mask. So what I'm going to do is just start, see if I can show you this, start right before it curves. I'm going to start making my cut right about here. I'm going to cut through all the layers, but then I'm going to put my scissors between them. Put my hand inside, careful not to cut my fingers. I'm going to show you this. And just cut all the way around until you have that end of the bag cut off. You know, our back's not super even, but you see how that's cut off. I was thinking this might make a good nose piece to a mask, but I haven't played with that just yet. If I do, I'll let you know. The next step is to take off the top piece here. This is where it's threaded through so that it closes, and that's where our elastic's going to go. So we'll take out this braiding, and I want to cut enough of a space so that I can sew it on to the sides of the mask. So I'm going to cut it down about 3/4 of an inch from the top. It's a little hard to see that way. Let's see if I just lay it flat. Just cut it all the way around until you have it separated. Now you have what's left of your bag, and I'm going to put 2 of these. You could measure this, but I'm just doing it like this. 2 of these lines of stitching together, and then I'm just going to cut along here to open it up. Now a mask for a female, a woman, is usually 9 inches, 8 or 9 inches across, and 6 inches, 5 or 6 inches this way. So let's see what we have. Okay, I've got my tape measure. We have 13 inches across and 5.5 inches from top to bottom. That's just about perfect. I'm going to square it up so it's not in that kind of an angle, and then I'm going to take and sew these 2 edges together. now that I've straightened it up, kind of cleaned it up, I'm going to pin right sides together. So you've got your crown royal on the inside. So just going to put in a couple of pins to hold it in place, or clips if you use those instead. And then you're just going to give this a small little seam, like a 1/4 inch seam, to hold the two together. So that short edge is sewn together. Now you're going to open it up, put that seam in the middle of each side, open up the seam. You can press this if you'd like, it's not really necessary. And then you're going to pin each side and stitch those, leaving an opening to turn it. Make sure that these seams go the same direction, top and bottom, so they're not twisted. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, the first one I didn't pay attention to that. So see how it lays nice and flat here, but when you get down to the bottom, you have it caught the opposite direction. So while that might not be a big issue, it's just smoother if you have the top and bottom stitched in going in the same direction. So I'm going to pin the pieces, paying attention to the direction of those seams, stitch them together, leaving a small opening, and turn it inside out. Okay, we're pinned now and ready to stitch. Remember to leave yourself an opening. An inch should be fine. It's pretty pliable material. Now that you have the top and the bottom sewn together, it's time to turn it inside out. And before we do that, let's just clip the corners. I left my hole at the bottom so that when I stitch it shut, I got my finger in there. I'm going to reach down to the corner and start just pulling it inside out. And then you'll want something to pull those corners out. I'm going to use a small crochet hook, not embroidery hook, and just poke the corners gently. So got those all poked out. You can see this is a little wider at the top than the bottom. Okay, so yeah, so this one is going out to the outside, and even though it does that, it's stitched the same direction. This one. So the next step, I'll press this, and then we will sew together the bottom. Just tuck in your little corners there, and you can hand stitch it or you can top stitch. And then we're going to be working with this. Pull this taut and cut it. Pull the taut over here. I'm sure we can find another use for this someday. All right, now we have our casing, and there's a little bit left. There's a knot in here with that braid, but you want to get both of your grommets even with each other, and we're going to then cut this into 2 pieces. That's my good scissors. So you can cut that side, and then you're going to cut that side. So now we have 2 different pieces, and these are going to go along the sides. I'm going to sew those on the sides, but the elastic will go through here, and then they'll go over the ears. So let's see, I think I can show you what's in here. There you go. See a little knot that held that in place? So now that's empty, and that's empty. So maybe cutting it first might be the way to go, and you can keep more of your braid in one piece. I'll try that next time. So now we need to thread the elastic in here. So let me grab a safety pin, and it's small enough to go through the casing. You don't need to worry about it being small enough to go through these grommets. In fact, I don't know if that's possible. I did try it with a teeny tiny one and it didn't work. So I'm going to show you how I did this. You'll need your elastic first. For a female mask like I'm making now, I'm going to make this 6 inches, 2 pieces of 6-inch elastic. Measure that out. Take your safety pin, put it in end of your elastic like that. The end of your, yes, elastic. And then you're just going to thread it through and pin it in place so you don't lose it inside. And then bring it out the other side. Then you're going to take your pin off. And this is where we work with the grommets. Get a small hook and just reach in the grommet. There we go. I've got it at that end. See how it's starting to pull. And then you just pull it, the loose end out. And now you're going to tuck the loose end back into the second grommet. Right there. So what I did before, since this is so small, is I just threaded that through. Once you get the elastic into the grommet, then take your crochet hook and bring it out. Attach this end so that it doesn't come loose, and then you can see how this will be your earpiece. So you're going to stitch these 2 ends of elastic in place. I have the ends of the elastic sewn in, just a couple little stitches there to hold it in place. And now what I'm going to do is turn this over 2 times and stitch it down. Okay, these 2 pieces are done now. I have stitched the ends, so I've got a clean finish. And I also ran a basting stitch through the bottom of each because this section is just a little wider than where I'll be sewing it. In order to know how much to gather this to fit your edge, if you pin each end together, right sides together, remember, and a little bit away from the edge here, not quite 1/4 of an inch, a little more than 1/8 of an inch maybe, just a wee bit. So you pin the 2 ends together and then you gather where you've basted it. Okay. And I'm going to stitch along, basically along the basting line. Now we have the ends sewn on. And what I'm going to do, you can see I sewed it a little bit from the edge. I'm going to fold it up so that it has a clean finish back here. See that? There's where we sewed it. There's a clean finish. We're going to stitch along the edge. This fabric is a light felt, so you'll want to use a pressing cloth, some water in your iron for steam to press it down nice and tight. Okay, I've stitched down the edges, so it's a nice clean finish on the inside, no raw edges. Stitching right there to hold it all together. Now these are the ear pieces. And there is your Crown Royal face mask. Well, that's my tutorial on how to make a face mask out of a Crown Royal bag. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you try this for yourself. As long as we're required to wear face masks to keep us and others safe, we might as well make it fun. All the instructions will be on my blog. I'll put the link below, and you can make one for yourself. Thanks.